Hello, my name's Colton, and I will be discussing deer antler velvet supplements. I'm going to show the relationship with IGF-1, several other things, and then we are going to take just a dive into see if scientific research done on this supports the claims or is against the claims that these supplements have. Okay, and then into the introduction. Uh, as we can see, it is a popular supplement in the athletic wellness. So some of the claims you can read on the bottles are boost IGF-1, so boost your hormones, recovery, boost your strength, boost your endurance. Based off of the supplement is based off rapid growth of deer antlers. The goal is to evaluate this as a biological plausibility and scientific evidence. So here on the top, you can see the just a supplement you buy at any store really. These are the most common. Is the powdered supplement. And here at the bottom right, you can just see a deer in velvet. These are the antlers that they're going to be cutting off. Essentially, looks kind of furry, fluffy, whatever. Less defined, not hard, and more round edges so far. So yeah. Alright, now slide 3, we got what is deer antler velvet. It is a soft vascular tissue that covers growing antlers before they are hardened. So this is during like the growth phase. It contains collagen, different minerals, amino acids, and cellular growth factors, and then also it contains an IGF-1, which is what we're talking about. Traditional medicine, it mainly is talking about China culture, in which it was used for vitality and joint health. That was mainly what it was used for. Modern ways, it uses marketing for performance enhancing, so all those that I listed earlier. And then, as you can see this picture, they are scientists, I guess, are holding these velvet antlers, and the way they harvest them is by sedating a male deer with anesthesia and then using like a saw or something to cut off the antlers. Usually it just takes like a couple seconds. And so, yeah, that's the process of it. Okay, so how IGF-1 works. So IGF is an insulin-like growth factor. It's a peptide hormone specifically produced by the liver, so that's how our body produces them. It's stimulated by a growth hormone. Plays roles in muscle growth, tissue repair, and bone development. Plays a crucial role in child development and anabolism in adults. So, it's, like I said, it's primarily produced by the liver in response to growth hormone. It plays a big role in muscle protein synthesis, tissue repair, bone growth, and cell proliferation. Synthetic IGF is considered a performance-enhancing drug, so it's banned across professional sports. So yeah, that's how it works basically. Alright, so in this one we're going to go in the pathways. So basically the way IGF-1 is used or released. So growth hormones are released from the intraventricular into the bloodstream, travels to the liver, binding to growth hormone receptors. This usually is when liver produces IGF-1, releasing it into circulation. Other tissues also make IGF-1 for local effects. So then the IgG1 binds to the IgG1 receptors on target cells, activating growth pathways leading to growth and proliferation. So basically, instead of our liver producing or other tissues, it's saying that this supplement is going to enter our bloodstream, bind to receptors, activating growth pathways leading to growth, proliferation, so helping with muscles, helping with recovery, helping with stamina, stuff like that. What they don't tell you though on these pills is it is a peptide hormone, and so peptides are kind of hard to get through the stomach, and so they generally are broken down, degraded in the stomach. This is why a lot of times stuff like this won't make it to the bloodstream, and so it's not going to have an effect. So that's one big thing about this. Alright, here we go. Effects of velvet supplements and influence to IGF-1 levels. So in a lot of the research that I had found, studies showed that there was no change in serum IGF-1. There was, in orally tested samples, there was no change as well. And just like I listed behind, is that it is easily destroyed during digestion, so it doesn't have an effect on the human. A lot of these studies had control groups, so it was a test between placebo groups and actual Antler velvet groups, and in every test, the placebo and supplemented groups showed identical hormone levels. So this just proves that, and these tests were done over weeks, so it wasn't just like one test. Over 10 weeks, 8 weeks were most of the tests done. And then there's also velvet extract, so serums and then powders showed the exact same result. It didn't matter what form it was in. If it was orally ingested, same results came. There wasn't no increase in anything really. Alright, and so here comes into the performance/recovery claims and then the test. So some of the claims were strength. You gain strength, so no improvement beyond normal training. This is what it showed. Endurance and VO2 max, so be able to run further, stuff like that. No measurable increase in any of the tests done. Muscular endurance and power, so being able to lift more longer, yet again unchanged. So overall, no ergonomic effect. It also, like the recovery side, creatine kinases, which are muscle damage markers, showed no difference in faster recovery. Soreness had no improvements as well. Inflammation marks remained unchanged, as well as recovery again was identical to placebo groups. So it kind of shows that most of this is coming from three articles that did the same research, but all the articles came out the same thing, is no results showed from any of these. So why won't it work? I went into this a little bit before. So IGF-1 is a peptide hormone, kind of big, so it gets broken down into nature inside the stomach before entering the bloodstream. So as it's getting broken down, it can't cross the intestinal barrier without being broken down as well. So these doses that are getting through the intestinal barrier isn't enough to affect or even bring enough hormone to cause an effect. So doses are very minimum and wouldn't have large results if it was absorbed. So anything that is going to absorb, it's not going to show anything because it's so small. And then this is biology active for deer, not humans. So we're taking deer velvet, deer IGF, and hoping that it will absorb through a different way that is intended for the deer than it is for us. So that's a big reason. Alright, here's some positive feedback. So I've been saying a lot of negatives. Hasn't showed any effects, hasn't showed any symptoms, anything really. So positive is that through all the clinical trials over children and adults, no major effects were seen. So yes, they did test children because children have a lot of IGF because they're growing, stuff like that. Lab values showed normal values, sorry. And then it was safe for short-term uses in adults and children, and it was shown ineffective and not harmful. So the positive is that in these amounts that you're given, it's not going to be harmful. Very rarely showed any effect to anybody. In most cases, it showed no effect, or anything. So, yeah. So why people still believe in it? So it's a naturalistic fallacy. So natural equals effective. You have a lot of people that believe that if you go natural, if you do all these all natural things, it's going to help your body, help you. And then a lot of those are just placebo effects, like we've been saying before. And then misunderstanding of peptide hormones. So a lot of it is just not reading the label. What is this? What is an IGF-1? What does it do? How is it, released? Can it survive being orally taken? And then strong placebo effects in athletes. So a lot of athletes, they get superstitious, I would call it, and they get a rhythm, they get something, and they do good. They're going to keep taking it because that's what caused the good. And the influential marketing and anecdotal testimonies. So a lot of marketing, a lot of throwing out there from big name people, that's been a big role as well. So broad issues. Dear Velvet has also highlighted broader issues in supplement regulation, public understanding relying on scientific surroundings, language to imply benefits. Things aren't always what they seem to be, and then natural doesn't always benefit. There's just some issues that have been shown in these. So traditional versus modern. Yes, again, traditional is coming from like the China culture, using vitality, longevity, immune support. Is shown as not as a hormone enhancement there. So modern marketing shapes it into a muscle/performance agent, creating an unrealistic expectation. This is putting into an enhancement. And then conclusion, Velvet does not raise the IGF-1, will not improve strength, endurance, or recovery, is generally safe and physiologically ineffective, with benefits being placebo-driven. It is more of a traditional culture use than scientific performance enhancer. Antler growth in deer does not translate to the human biology. Importance of evaluating bioavailability and mechanism. I will say one interesting thing I did find was there was a scandal in the NFL in 2013. There was a player from the Ravens. He had just recovered from a pulled muscle, and he had been investigated for putting deer antler extract spray on his arm, or the area that was injured, as a recovery, and it was a big scandal that boosted sales and everything like that. So yeah, here's the references that I used for just this paper. Thank you.